guys, welcome to Cooking with Chase. Hope you're enjoying your forced vacation. Today we're making a souped up ramen. So grab a drink and let's get cooking. Cheers. So today we're going to do something quick and easy. It's a great middle of the week meal. It's also my cameraman slash fiance or fiance slash cameraman birthday today. So we've got some plans tonight, so we're just going to do something real quick for you guys. So we're going to take instant ramen, which is something that I always have in my cupboard, and we're going to kind of make it into an actual nice meal. So first I'm going to talk about the brand. So I like spicy noodles. I like spicy ramen. This is a great brand for that. They make a non-spicy version of this, at least in my area. You can do this with like a Mr. Noodles, but if you kind of upgrade to slightly more expensive, this is I think $1.29 a package roughly. Sometimes you get on sale for $1. The noodles are quite a bit better, and the seasoning pack is just there's actual mushroom powder in it, so it's just a nicer product. So kind of going from I think Mr. Noodles is 49 cents or 50 cents, something like that, to $1.30. You're getting a substantial leap. I think that's money well spent, especially if you're going to make this kind of like a lunch or a dinner. It's also a great way, and this is what I use it for a lot, to clean out your fridge veg that you need to get rid of. So today I had some cabbage, I had some carrot, onion, green onions, and we're going to cook an egg to put on top. This is going to be vegetarian. If you had meat, like leftover chicken or steak or ground pork, ground beef, basically anything, you can absolutely throw that in. And I will tell you when I would throw that in. But let's get going. The other part that I have here is a couple seasonings for the bottom of the bowl. So if you go to a ramen shop in Japan or a good ramen shop in your city, you'll notice that before they put the broth in, they put a ladle full of something. It's different from shop to shop at the bottom. And usually that's a mix of soy, sesame oil, flavoring agents. It's all very secret and sneaky. Each shop has their own special little something they put in the bottom of the bowl. And this does a crazy amount to kind of take this from a pot of instant ramen or a bowl of instant ramen and actually make it feel like you're not in a noodle shop, not in a real ramen place, but you are much closer. Especially the soy sauce. I realize that most people probably aren't going to have homemade chili oil because they don't love spice as much as I do, and you might not even have Chinese dark vinegar. But a little fresh soy in the bottom of your bowl, if that's all you have, will do wonders to give complexity and depth to the soup. So okay, let's get going here. So I just got a small pot here. I'm just going to bring this water up to a boil. This is your preference of how soupy you like your noodles. I don't love a ton of broth. I like more like a tossed noodle rather than noodles in a bunch of soup. So I don't put a ton of water in here. If you like more of a soup, you can add more water. Your preference, whatever you want to do. Well, that's kind of coming up to a boil. We'll talk about just how you want to slice your veg. So I'm going to cook my noodles, then I'm going to pull my noodles out and quickly cook my veg in the stock. But it's not going to be there for very long. So whatever you do, you just want to make sure it's very thinly sliced because you're only going to be cooking it for 30 seconds or so. So if you're doing, you could do cauliflower or broccoli or bell peppers. And honestly, you could put it raw on top if that's what you want it to do. Especially with cabbage and carrot. It's kind of nice to cook it. It takes a little bit of the crunch out, a little bit of the bite out. It's just a little bit nicer in there. I'm going to open up this ramen. I gotta say, it feels really hilarious being like, I'm doing a cooking show, and then just opening up a pack of instant ramen. There. So this brand comes with two packages. One is a dehydrated vegetable, and the other one is the soup base itself. And if you notice these noodles compared to a Mr. Noodle, they're a little bit thicker. And when these hydrate up, they'll be fairly thick and quite chewy, which is what I'm looking for. I want a really chewy noodle. Okay. So it doesn't need to be at a ripping, roaring boil. I've got bubbles at the bottom. It's simmering. Just going to place that in there. Maybe it would have been classier if I like opened up all of the components to the ramen and like put them on a plate, so it didn't look like I was just opening up a package of like instant ramen. Let me know. Let me know if that's how I should be doing it. And don't feel obligated to put all of the soup base in. Whether you're making a spicy one or not, it's really high in sodium, and some people are sensitive to that. If you want to make it a little lighter, and you're kind of watching your salt or anything, just put half of it in. It'll still be really flavorful, especially because you're adding fresh soy sauce and adding fresh vegetables and adding an egg on top. You don't need to go the entire package if you're worried about how much salt is in it. So while this is going, you'll notice this isn't fully submerged. So I just kind of flip it at the beginning. Just start to get this hydrated. As it's cooked, it's going to start pulling apart. I think we've all cooked Mr. Noodles at one point or another, so this is probably a fairly familiar process to a lot of you. And while this is going, I take that opportunity to build, I think in Japan they call it taro. It's the base of the soup in the bottom of the bowl. I could be very wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So again, this is totally up to your personal taste. Some people like a little soy, some people like a lot. I put about that much of that. I like sesame oil.
Okay, so somebody asked, they've got noodles, but no seasoning packets. What can they put into their broth for seasoning?
Okay, so if you had a chicken stock, or if you had chicken bouillon in your fridge, you could make a really quick stock. If that was the case, because in the package, there's quite a bit of usually dehydrated mushrooms and MSG. So it creates a lot of umami, a lot of that like mouthfeel. So if you were going to go with just a chicken stock, for example, if you didn't have a seasoning package, I would try to reinforce it with a lot more veg. So like, take a whole onion and a whole carrot, throw it in there, just sliced up really roughly. If you had some mushrooms are super rich in umami. Throw a couple mushrooms in there. If you're working with bouillon, you're almost better off in a way because they add MSG to that usually. Depending product to product, but when they put that into little cubes, usually they're doing something to kind of create that umami. If you can find this is just a fantastic vinegar. It's kind of like Chinese balsamic vinegar. It's aged in barrels and it's a really cool flavor. It's not quite as strong as balsamic, so you don't need a lot, but it's. I'm just trying to think of like a comparable, maybe sherry vinegar, something along those lines. It doesn't taste quite the same, but it's in that kind of realm. Okay, so my noodles are getting pretty close to cooked. And I didn't add quite enough water to cook my vegetables and my egg after. Not a big deal. I'm just going to take my noodles out of my bowl, add a little bit more water to cook my veg. You just don't want to add the water while you're cooking your noodles because you don't want to drop the temperature of the water. And this is just some chili oil. I might do a video on this in the future. Super straightforward to make. This is a mother oil I've had on my shelf because I was supposed to give it to my friend Stinson, who bought us a lovely present about a year ago. So I made him a pot of chili oil and then I never gave it to him and I've just been using it. But it just stays on my shelf and I just kind of like add chilies when I have them or some vinegar. It's pretty hot, so I'm not going to go too heavy on it. But if you guys want me to do a video on that, I don't know how many spice lovers there are out there. Okay, so my noodles are cooked, look beautiful, super glossy. Clearly I did not add enough liquid. So, to be honest, what probably happened is I had it boiling before the video started to try to speed things up. So I didn't have enough liquid. There's no liquid left. Not a huge issue.
Is there something that can be used to substitute for the Chinese vinegar?
Yeah, I was trying to think of that. It's a really unique flavor. I think maybe a little malt vinegar, but honestly, if it was me, it's such a unique flavor that like I would just cut up some lemons and limes and throw it on top. You could squeeze some fresh acid. I just like with soup bases or anything really that's kind of prepackaged. There's no acid. Acid doesn't preserve well. Like it's easy to get kind of like that like chickeny flavor, but it's really hard to get fresh acid. So like if you had a lime would be great on top of this. Maybe malt vinegar or maybe sherry vinegar. But I honestly would probably just put a lime or a wedge of lemon or something just to get some brightness back in.
Somebody else has asked, they've got no homemade chili oil. Can they use a sambal?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fantastic in it. Yeah, or sriracha. Even like a Frank's if you just want to hit up a little bit of heat. It's going to get buried in so much other flavor that you're not going to really taste it. So, okay, so our water's boiling again. So I'm just going to cook an egg on that. Just going to lower the temperature a little bit. Doesn't need to be at a rolling. Just crack it over there. And I'm not trying to do like a poached egg necessarily. I am poaching the egg, but I'm not trying to create like a perfect poached egg for like Eggs Benedict or anything like that. I'm just trying to cook. This is a one-pan dish, middle of the week. Trying to keep low dishes, keep it simple. So this is just easier than having a separate pot with water. Okay, so I'm not going to cook the green onions. Those are going to be garnished for the top. I'm going to take my cabbage. I'm just going to stick that off to the side. Again, we're keeping this one pot. My carrot, I'm going to stick that off to the side. My onion, I don't really need to cook it. I'm just going to kind of throw it on top, and it's just going to kind of steam. Miss the pan, some of the cabbage. And this, I'm just going to cook for a couple seconds. Well, 30 seconds or so. And I'm not adding any salt because the broth is really seasoned. I've added soy sauce. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. And the vegetables will get seasoned as you kind of mix up your bowl. So tomorrow and Friday, it's kind of exciting. We're doing a first two-part episode. So I've been struggling with how to kind of make some longer dishes, some dishes that take a bit more time, because I don't want to be doing a 3-hour live feed, and you guys don't want to sit through a 3-hour live feed of me making chicken stock. So we're going to try tomorrow. We're going to talk about making stocks. So I'm going to make a whole chicken stock. And then on Friday, we're going to take that stock and turn it into a good chicken soup. Natural good chicken soup. People don't make good chicken soup anymore. And so that's really exciting. So if you want to follow along with that, tomorrow you just need a whole chicken, like a fryer chicken, like a roasted chicken, and some aromatics like onion, celery, garlic, and carrot. And we're good with that. Okay, so this is good to go. So it's all very lightly cooked. Nothing's super boiled or anything like that. You're just going to come over to your bowl. Just kind of arrange your veg kind of nicely because, you know, people are watching. It's not me coming home from work at 2 in the morning. Your egg shouldn't be stuck at all. But there's a bit more water in there than I want. So I'm just going to kind of scoop that egg out. And again, I don't like a ton of broth. So that's about as far as I would go. Take your green onions. Throw them in there. Okay. And for, I don't know, $1.50 for the ramen, 30 cents for the veg, $1 for the egg. That's a pretty pleasant little meal. And again, if you had some meat in the fridge, great in this. This is really fun if you have kids. I don't have kids, but you can kind of treat it like a make your own pizza night because it cooks so fast that you can kind of get all the veg, and I would get all the veg cooked and put it on a platter, and you can boil a bunch of these noodles together in this sauce pack. Like add 4 packages together if you're a family of 4, and get everything out, and the kids can build their own bowls. You know, fry the eggs if that's easier. They can throw the egg on, and it's a real fun little midweek meal. So thanks for tuning in. If you're cooking along or making the recipes, be sure to tag me at Chase Rose and hashtag Cooking with Chase.